But I want to get into Ohio State, like you said, Landon. I think we're going to move on.
Wait, who were you for Halloween?
It was my first year dressing up for Halloween ever. I had never done it before.
Who were you?
So me and my girl, she's like, yo, let's be P. Diddy and Jennifer Lopez. I'm like, say that. I'm with that. I get a big white tee from Target. I'm wearing glasses.
Baby oil?
Nah, man. No baby oil, man.
Yeah.
That was a year I didn't know what I didn't know.
Who else remembers that, though?
Those pictures of that costume are in my hidden file on my phone.
Is this not the most exciting season of college football in a long time?
Oh my goodness. I mean, he's making it so balanced.
Upsets over upsets, and then you look at the standings of the SEC and the Big Ten.
Alabama and Vanderbilt, like that is a huge like game, you know, because that just speaks to the fact that college football is so balanced. Anybody could win it any week.
Ohio State, Penn State is going to be fun. First time. Both teams are ranked inside the top five.
Are we gonna talk about the visitors though? Like we're gonna have like Big Puff Hawk, he coming through. Big Land, he coming through. Big Trump, he coming through. Yeah. I heard Kamala, she's coming through too.
Big Noon Fox.
Is Sexy Red pulling back up?
I mean,
everybody's coming.
Drake might as well pull up.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
I'll call him. I'll call him.
I'll
get Drizzy here.
Who's coming? Yeah. Get Nick Singleton and Katron Allen going. And I'll leave you with this fun fact. Penn State is 12-0 when Katron Allen has 80 or more rushing yards in his career.
So feed that fat man.
Feed fat man.
Come on.
Feed fat man.
What's going on, everybody? Aeneas Hawkins here in the Family Clothesline. If you have not found your way here, make sure to stop in. You can find Family Clothesline at 352 East College Ave, of course, State College, PA 16801. Make sure to stop in if you haven't yet. If you're gonna go online, you can find Family Clothesline at www.pennstateclothes.com. Visit us in the heart of Lion Country. We have extended hours here at the Family Clothesline on home football weekends, or you can find us 24/7 at www.pennstateclothes.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into another episode of the Lion's Den. As always, I'm your host, Aeneas Hawkins, joined by my good friend, D'Von J-Thomas. D'Von, please do us the honor of bringing our esteemed guests in tonight.
We are with former left guard, former good counsel, legend. Maryland legend.
Yeah.
You know, social media personality nowadays, Landon Tengwall. Landon, how you doing, brother?
Doing fantastic. Appreciate you gentlemen having me on today, man.
It's always a pleasure when we get you on here, man. I know you've told this story many times in other places, but Landon Tengwall is actually the guy that made me realize it was time to retire from football. Him and Olu Fashional took me 15 yards in a double team. Their true freshman year, he's 18 years old, and the same way he was just laughing, he was laughing as he moved me out of the B gap. So he and I go back. Not as far back as you guys though, D'Von.
Yeah.
No, me and D'Von go back a long time. I specifically remember the practice in Tampa because we were at the we were at the Outback Bowl in 2021. That was a fun trip in my opinion. That was one of the best bowl trips I think there was.
Sure.
It was just the atmosphere down in Tampa.
Well, honestly, it might have been the Cotton Bowl.
I can't blame y'all for that one.
Elite.
Yeah, I like that one as well.
Elite.
What do you remember about practice in Tampa?
I remember like me and Olu specifically like driving you like 10 yards. I'll give you credit though. You never got pancaked.
Nah,
you were the king of that.
I'm not getting caked. I'm gonna find a way not to get caked.
He would just extend out and like push back as much. He would just figure out a way not
I'm
to
getting off of that.
Not to get done up.
Yeah.
So this is what I remember about Tampa. It was my last week playing football ever. And it was literally the last practice I ever had, like in pads, like, and I know I'm probably not gonna play on Saturday, so it was like literally my last time lacing them up. I'm thinking I'm about to go out there, just have fun, chill. I had a great practice, just vibing out. Then Phil Troutwine, at the end of practice, we had like a spare 15 minutes for some reason.
Yeah.
He's like, let's run pods. And no underneath tackles. And the whole time, Troutwine's not even coaching his guys.
Yeah.
He's just chirping me. Like the scout team D tackle going against Olu and Landon Tengwall. Like, whatever, bro.
I'll never forget that. They just got really pod happy. And for those of you, pods is just, you just line up like a couple offensive linemen against a defensive lineman, and you're just like smash
Oh
jabs.
my goodness! I remember like my freshman summer, literally the first camp. I did the conditioning test. I could not pass it to save my life when I first got here.
Yep.
It was the conditioning test. Then it was Lions. Then it was Lions Pride, and then we had what seemed like 10 periods of pods throughout the practice right after inside run. It was ridiculous.
You guys used to do all of the competitive periods.
All of them. Correct. All of the competitors.
What year was that? 2019?
2019.
Yeah.
And there was no saving you from anything.
No.
Nothing.
I feel
Everybody did it.
I feel like now you can't even do something. Like, do they do Lions Pride anymore?
They can't.
I don't think it's allowed to do that. Is Lions Den still a thing?
Nope, they can't do it.
There was a time, again, a few short years ago, where the same guys were doing all of the competitive drills. So me and Vaughn would go on Lions Pride, then I'd go after Vaughn on Lions Pride. Then Lions Den, his group would go, then my group would go. Then they throw a new group together. Me and Vaughn would be in the same one.
Yeah, it was honestly a spectacle. Then they would throw the old guys in there every once in a while just to give the younger guys a break, but to show us how it's supposed to be done.
How it's done.
I mean, I'm 18 years old and I'm watching vets. I'm watching Shaka Tone,
yep.
Jason Owe, or maybe it was Shane Simmons that day, go against our veteran offensive line and Journey Brown in the backfield. Like, it was ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like,
certainly crazy. So were you ever a Lions Den guy?
I was. So when me, Nate Bruce was the only other offensive lineman in my class. Yes. Shout out Nate Bruce. And yeah, so that was like right towards the end when we started to tone it down, and we didn't have to do. It was just one competitive period. So for those that don't know, like now it's just you come out and it's a start fast period. You do something between the offense and defensive line, wide receivers, DBs, linebackers, running backs. Yeah. But you just pick one of those and you do them. But it sounds like back in the day, these guys got to do all of them, which is it's a tough task because you get to the start of practice and you're like, wait, we've been practicing for 30 minutes. Why is it period one and why did I just get my body beat in?
And it's not period one, it's period 99.
Yeah, period.
And let's not neglect the fact that Coach Franklin held period 99 a couple of times.
He will hold that joint.
When the hand goes up just like this, just know you're going to be there for a little bit longer than you anticipated.
Bro, there was nothing worse than really at any point in practice, but you look over and it's like, why's the clock paused? Why's the clock paused? And Franklin just doesn't care. He's just looking. It's just like, boom.
Like, it's the worst when you feel like you've been in practice for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of your fourth or fifth indie drill. You look up and see period 5 on there. You're like, this is going to get crazy. Because you have 24 periods.
I always feel like the hard part was if you were to lose the competitive drill as a young guy, it would feel like all hope was lost sometimes. Like, I remember getting choke slammed by Rasheed Walker in Lions Pride one time after he had just gotten a little bit of trouble. So he's like extra pissed off. Like, and they throw me in there, of course, again, to teach me a lesson. I don't know what I did to piss Coach Franklin off, but I was in there with Rasheed that day.
Yeah.
Choke slam me, and then you got to find a way to then go compete in one-on-ones and inside run. And like, it's just not good for morale.
Dude, I'll tell you, getting beat in a one-on-one, O-line, D-line at the beginning of practice, like that's the worst thing.
Yeah, in front of the team, like, and look, it's different, right? So corners can go out there, they can lose their one-on-one, okay, and everybody's like, okay, that happens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
life.
But when it comes to defensive linemen or offensive linemen losing it, it's like, yo, I don't know if he's going to be able to get to the quarterback, or I don't know if he's going to be able to protect the quarterback. Yeah. And now there's questions floating around in everybody's mind, like, who is this kid?
Yeah.
Bro, because it's like you might either get pancaked if you're a defensive lineman, or you're an offensive lineman, you get swim moves so hard like you end up on your face. Or there's the bull rush option, which I have been on the other side of. My first ever college one-on-one. I told this against Smith Vilbert, and just lined up, and I never played right tackle before. I didn't feel any confidence at all at right tackle at that time. Yeah. And Smitty,
Smith,
let's go, youngin, let's go. I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, oh no. And I got out there just flat on my back, got pancaked. Franklin blowing the whistle, Fred Hanser like doing a dance in my face. Not
doing the one-on-one, but he's dancing.
No, he's dancing. He's not. Listen, there's some guys on the team that are there to somewhat entertain.
Yeah.
That was Fred Hanser's gig.
Fred, listen, you got to know your role.
It was like, it was crazy because Fred, like, he was just a hooper. Like, my freshman year, my first year, right, I don't really know too much about college football, but I'm seeing Fred Hanser, like, he's not really doing too much in terms of, like, outside of football, and then he gets thrown in the game, boom, TFL. I'm like, what is going on?
Fred could play. That's the thing.
Yeah, like Fred was a hooper. I don't know, like, what it was. It was something about Fred, but Fred would just go in, boom, TFL, boom, tackle. I'm like, okay.
But let's really get into it because we've never talked about this. I feel like we're far enough removed now where we can. And Fred will tell you this himself. Fred never did a winter workout. Fred didn't do a winter workout in 4 years while I was there. That's the truth of the matter. Fred, man, he battled through some injuries. He was always.
No. That is what I will say. Like Fred really had like real
true injuries, and that's
like,
the thing.
Not,
so he wasn't training like we were because he physically was not going to be able to train and then also play.
Right.
But when he would play, he'd get 3 TFLs a game. He started against Kent State my true freshman year. He's a redshirt freshman. Fred Hansard started a game and had like 4 TFLs. He's fast. So shout out Fred, man.
Shout out Fred.
I just remember doing winter workouts. Go ahead.
No, I've never seen it myself.
Winter workout, dude. We might as well talk about winter workouts. You know, I think this episode is going to be kind of just a rundown of what a Penn State football player's like.
Yeah, we'll talk
about
because I mean, look, to be honest with you, like you've been watching a lot of film lately.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like now that your position has changed, the situation has changed. Like you've been watching a lot of film on guys, so you kind of had like the lowdown, the deep dive, and you know what it's like the inner workings of Penn State football. So,
dude, I'm gonna be honest. What's crazy about it is like I watch so much film now. I'd say I like almost watch more film than I did when I played.
Really?
But like I watch everything, so it's like I have such a better understanding of what's gonna happen now than even when I did when I played. Like I have a full understanding of the game, and like I'm not gonna lie. I told people, I put it out on Twitter. I just want to give. I got to put out there. I said, hey, the quarterback has thrown an interception. And Braden Locke, Wisconsin quarterback, threw an interception in every game he started in. And I said, Jalen Reed, is that you that I hear? Because I knew he was going to play around the line of scrimmage because all they did was run inside zone.
Yep.
They ran quick passes.
Yep.
Like, that was their game. It was get the ball out quick, so why not have Jalen Reed around the line of scrimmage?
And again, you know that because you're watching so much film, too.
It is. But I enjoy it. I'm a film junkie, man. I'm a film junkie, absolutely. Shout out Philip Troutwine. He did that to me.
Coach Trout.
So, Coach Troutwine definitely instills. Man, I mean, we can talk about him for the offensive line for a second.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's hear it.
It's a young group that like coming into the year. You know how impactful Caden Wallace and Olu Fashanu were to this team. Yep. And like no one really talked about it too much. It was like, and Hunter Norzeb was gone. Like we knew Doc was going to hold it down at center, but it was like, like Anthony Donka showed some good promise in the bowl game. Got to play about a half for Caden Wallace, but it was like, dude. We got some unproven guys on the offensive line, and they have showed out. I mean, you've seen it every day in practice.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, we're not talking about him enough. Wenger. Yeah. Wenger has been a force on the inside. Let's talk about it. Every single game, it's a highlight. Yep. You know what I mean? Like we sat there in team meeting the other day, actually, and we were watching clips from the game, just of violence. You know, we oftentimes do that to remind ourselves, like, look, like this is what we're capable of. This is who we are. We do that every week. Yep. You know. And so we sat there, and it's like 5, 6, 7 clips of Wenger just
that's what I'm saying. It's not
ground,
even just when they put him in.
Every single play, you know what I mean?
They
like,
put him in motion.
Violence,
dude.
He's coming from wide. He's coming from wide receiver. He's pulling, going all the way out on a stretch, whatever it is. Like he is a guard to be reckoned with in the Big Ten right now. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, the way the offensive line is playing, like that's a big credit to Coach Troutline and Coach K, because like that was a big question. Like he said, it was a very unproven offensive line. But I mean, throughout the spring, throughout the summer, they've really gelled together and they're playing very, very well right now.
Yeah, you mentioned because you have to gel because that's the only thing in football where 5 guys have to move as one.
Yep.
And you talk about, let's say, that Katron Allen touchdown that we saw that basically just sealed the game. It's because everybody blocked up, including the tight ends. I mean, it was a beautiful, what we call pin and pull. They blocked both tight ends down, pulled Dawkins and I think Sal or one of the other guards around, and it was perfectly blocked. And that's what to have those type of plays. Every single guy blocking has to do their job, and that's hard to do when you haven't played a lot together. So definitely shout out this offensive line. Shout out Nick Dawkins and Philip Troutwine.
Yeah, and I remember the conversation last year. It felt like so much of it was the offensive line is playing well, but when you talk about explosive runs, in the absence of them last year, it's oftentimes 1 or 2 guys away from that being an explosive run and from big plays happening. And we're seeing so much more of that this year, the cohesiveness of the unit. You lose Olu Fashanu, who, again, we can look at this unit now. Yes, they're very talented and guys are playing well, but on paper, you would look at last year's offensive line with Olu and with Caden Wallace and say, okay, this may be the more talented unit, but again, you talk about the importance of the unit playing together with offensive line specifically. It's more so than any other position on the field. The defensive line even, you can have one guy who's playing so out of his mind that he's still making a direct impact on the game, but that O-line unit, if one guy, one piece of that puzzle isn't playing at the highest level, you're going to feel it in the run game.
And I think another guy too who people don't necessarily talk about, but who's been holding it down for some years now is Salim Wormley. To be honest with you, like Sal has been good for a long time, and he's been very consistent in how he's been playing. Yeah, especially in the last 2 years, like Sal has really been doing it. He's been doing his thing. You know what I mean?
Yes. I remember Sal's freshman year when Sal came in. I remember your guys' class like very well. Obviously, you guys were right after my group. So Sal came in, and his freshman year, it wasn't like any rougher than a typical freshman, but Sal wasn't Sal yet his first year. And I remember we came back in the spring, and Sal like basically chokeslammed me in spring ball, and everybody in the D-line room. This is like the first padded practice, so nobody knows that
you were getting chokeslammed a lot, brother.
I was getting choked, but these are all NFL guys. Listen, if you're looking for your NIL jersey, Family Clothesline has what you need. Over 120 of the Penn State football players are exclusively working with Family Clothesline to bring to you their NIL jersey. Each one of Family Clothesline's NIL jerseys features the official patch that lets you know that these jerseys are the real deal, super authentic, and they directly benefit our Penn State Nittany Lions. Jerseys are available in both navy and white, and the sizes go up to 3X in both adult and youth sizes. This jersey program benefits the players in a great way. Make sure to go get yours at www.pennstateclothes.com. So guys didn't know who Sal Wormley was yet. So I found out first who Sal was because he got a hold of me in spring ball after his freshman year. We get the film. And I remember Shaka Tony in the game being like, yo, Hawk, that's Sal. You gotta whoop him. You gotta beat Sal. That's Sal. Yeah. And I'm like, yo, I'm telling you, this is not sweet anymore. He is not a bum. Sal Wormley can play football.
Yeah. Well, to his credit though, like, love you, Sal, but Sal every day had a different box of pizza. He would walk across the street, right? And so this is when we first
out today.
Yeah, I mean, I love Sal. And Sal is so far removed from this. Like, he's so much better now. We can talk about it, like you said.
Freshman, yeah.
You know what I mean? So his freshman year, we first get here, right? We're all in Beaver. I only see Sal when he's walking across the street to the store to grab beverages for his pizza that he ordered to his room. Like him and Joey Porter, they were roommates. Yeah. They had pizza every single day. I would see Sal with a full box of pizza, then walk down with no pizza. Yep. Dude, you know what I mean? And Sal that was Sal every single day.
That's that financial freedom where you like finally get to college. It's like, okay, I can do what I want. I can eat what I want. And it's like, some guys just make that decision to enjoy food.
And Sal enjoyed it a lot. I love Sal. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but he enjoyed it a lot.
That's my guy, but yeah, he's handling now 6th year. He is locking down at right guard. But real quick, we got to go back. We were talking about it for a second. Can we talk about winter workouts for a second? I mean, that's a staple. And we talked about this story. I'm just going to start it off. Tire pool. And tire pool is something that happens at the end of a winter workout. Winter workouts are about an hour and a half long that start at like 5:30 in the morning. Yep. And Franklin is in there at like 4:30, like walking laps, like speed walking with like a coffee in his hand. Yeah. And like, you want to get in there early to like warm up, but you also don't want to make eye contact with Franklin before a winter workout. Because he gets you and he's like, okay. You can talk about that because
so I've shared on another show that I felt like my theory was I started to come into winter workouts as late as possible. Mm-hmm. I would stretch outside or I'd stretch and lash and I would come out as late as possible because I felt like there'd be days where I wouldn't be in the tire pool or anything like that. And Franklin would see me stretching and he would smile at me and then 30 seconds later, every time, I'm seeing him writing on this piece of paper. Yeah. And I realized every time he did that, I would be in tire pool that day. So I would stop showing up so early because it was costing me respect points in the team. Yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, but my favorite winter workout tire pool story ever. So you're an hour and a half in, you're dead tired. You're so people have thrown up. You're pouring water on yourself.
Let's see where we're going.
Yeah. So we finished tire pool. No, it's a lot of young guys, and then Franklin will finish off with like 1 or 2 old guys, right?
Like the championship.
Right? So I normally it's like sometimes it's O-line versus O-line, but a lot of times they try to go offense versus defense. And so we do all of it. Yeah, pretty much all the time now, but Des Holmes, offensive lineman, goes up, and he beat someone. He beat a defensive lineman. I forget who it was.
It was a younger guy.
It was a younger guy. It wasn't an older guy.
It was like JJ or like, it was a young freshman.
Yeah, it was a young freshman.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, though. I'm sorry. JJ is one of the strongest individuals I have ever met in my life. He is literally like on the board for squat, bench, hang clean. Like it's ridiculous.
Insane in a way.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah. But so at the time, PJ Mustipher's like the king.
guy.
He's the guy. You don't
He's
want to go
undefeated.
undefeated, never lost in Tire Pool. He's been here for 4 or 5 years at this point. And so Dez handles a young defensive lineman. Franklin says, "That's it, bring it up." And Dez is hyped, pounding his chest. And he said, "And next time, I want PJ."
Yeah.
But hey,
And Coach Franklin said, his eyebrows, he raises up, his eyes get big. He said, blows the whistle.
no, because he looked at PJ,
And PJ said-
PJ's just tired. He said, "Huh?" Like, PJ's face. He said, "What? What?" And then he looks over. He said, "Let's do it right now. Let's do it right now."
The fear in Dez's face when he realized he was not going home.
And we're like, "Yo, little Dez, you don't want that, blah, blah, blah." And Dez's like, "Nah, we gonna get it next time, bro. We gonna get it next time." Like, he's telling
kept
people, like,
saying
"We gonna
that.
get it next time. We gonna get it next time." Then be like, "Nah, I wanna do it right now." Coach Franklin looks at Dez, looks at P, looks at, and blows it up.
Get up
my
there,
goodness.
bro. And PJ just walks Dez back. So the Tire Pool, you start basically, let's say at the 50. First person to go, was it 5? Is it 10
5
yards?
yards.
5 yards. 5 yards the opposite way. PJ walked him, and then just the celebrations in the Tire Pool. Guys will run from the 50-yard line
All out.
of Haluba and just celebrate. It's
And
just
for
like
some
running.
reason, nobody was tired anymore.
That's the
Like
thing,
everybody,
right?
everybody 30 seconds ago was just dead tired, couldn't breathe, like was throwing up, and then after that, now everybody's good, running around Haluba like
ironic.
nothing happened.
Yeah. PJ could have taken Dez to Bollesburg that day if he wanted to. He dragged Dez.
Yeah,
And Dez, let's talk about him because, D'Von, I don't know if you remember, but there was a span in 2020 when it was COVID time where I was going against Dez in one-on-ones every day during skill instruction. And I'm telling you, there was a 6-month span where Dez Holmes' punch, it was like playing against Evander Holyfield.
Nah.
He would hit you in your chest, and if he got his hands on you, it's over with, bro.
Yeah, no, and he was probably one of the most sweaty individuals I've ever met in my life. Like,
Not one of.
Like, he might have been he was the hardest offensive lineman to probably play against strictly because you couldn't hold on to him. Like, you could get your hands inside, technique perfect, but you're sliding up after like 2 steps just because he's that sweaty. You know what I mean? And I respect it. It's a solid game plan, but
This is the third player now that we have told these stories about, man.
I mean, this is real though. I mean, he's so far removed. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna keep saying it. They're so far removed from that. You know what I mean? That we can talk about it.
We'll see if they're watching our show or not, too. This will tell us a lot about our
You'll get a text.
Yeah, if we get some text, if we don't, I mean,
we'll move on after this. But my last football fight actually was against Dez Holmes. And Von, I don't know if you remember this. You might remember this, but Dez kept shoving me after the whistle. Like, I'm like a 4th-year guy. I'm on the scout team still, bro. I'm like, yo, fam, like, I'm going to help you get better. Like, I'm cool. I'm with that. I'm with competing. But if you hit me in the back of my head one more time after the play, it's going to be a problem. Next play, I trip on, like, Tyler Elston or somebody. He, like, trips me from behind. I go down, and I feel Dez. Boom, boom, punching me twice in the back of the head. I'm like, all my heads. I'm like, when I get up, I'm finna kill him. Like, I'm gonna smoke him.
Yeah.
And Dez is a lot bigger, a lot stronger, better athlete.
Yeah.
I can't beat Dez straight up. But what I know is nobody's tough when you grab him by the face. So I jump up and grab this man by the face mask and steer him around. And he ended up hitting the portal like a week later. And we didn't talk before he hit the portal. So like our last interaction was a fist fight in the middle of the field. And we hadn't talked after. So me and Dez are cool now. I love Dez. That's my guy. We were always cool, but I didn't know.
my dog.
I thought it was over
guy.
with because we didn't get to, we didn't get to talk through that. I thought I lost a friend that day.
Yeah, Dez always been cool, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Big
Like,
Dez, that was my OG name.
That's
the guy,
It was a 5th year when I was a freshman. I would just get there and just chop it up with Dez, give some good wisdom.
That's a good dude.
But I will say, my favorite part about like the D-line and O-line fights, because that would happen a lot, especially like J.J. Vandenberg would start.
Bro, so when we first got there, like, talking to the old heads, like shocking them, he was like, yo,
There's a rule.
when y'all get to mid-season, it's gonna start getting unchy, right? And so what we used to do, I'm not saying y'all do it, but what we used to do is once it starts getting to that point, start a fight.
Yep.
And we're dead tired, right? I remember it was like 20 plays in or something like that. We barely had a sub. Numbers were low. Vasey was going from defensive end to tight end. Like it would Dan Vasey, shout out to you, bro. Like he was going from tight end to defensive end, back to tight end, like offense, defense.
He played offensive tackle.
Yes.
He played offensive tackle.
Whole time,
Yes.
Whole time he's paying the university to do it.
That's a walk-on. He was a walk-on. Shout out to Vasey.
and he's going through it, right? So we all look around and we're like, it's that time. And I'm pretty sure like it was just like a collective, all right, bro, I'm gonna hit you, but I don't mean it. And it just smushed him in the face. And next thing you know, a whole fight breaks out where we're towards the end of it, and Coach Franklin, to everybody's surprise, move it up. Keep going.
Yep.
And oh
They used to
my
stop
goodness,
it.
we
Yep.
broke out. We were so upset, man.
They used to stop it. One time,
yeah.
Well, I don't know why we're on the storytelling tangent right now, but I don't know if you were even here for this, Vaughn, but we had a guy named Damian Barber. And some of the true Penn State fans here are going to remember Damian Barber. And one time we were at a D-squad practice. This is my freshman year, I think. And I didn't know the rule at that time where if we had started a fight that was bad enough, practice was going to be done. So it was like a bye week. Like none of the real, like Coach Franklin's out recruiting, the coordinators are gone. It's like us and the GAs.
Yeah.
So you know it's already going to get a little bit wild because there's not the same authoritative presence that's normally there. And we were done with the scrimmage again, 20 plays in, and Damian looked at me. He's like, Hawk, you're not going back in. Today's done. I don't know what he means. He goes in there, for no reason, fights the entire offensive line. Like runs in before anybody gets set, boosh, and just starts a war with everybody.
Whoa.
It was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah.
There's nothing like, because when the fight starts, you can't necessarily get to the people that started the fight. So
No.
you just look for someone on the opposing.
opposite
like,
color.
I look for a defensive lineman, and you
Yeah.
just like, yo, you just put hands on him.
You have to.
You used to actually look for me sometimes.
I would try to find you. It was like a motivation when I see Hawk out there. I'm like, yo, I got to give 110% on this play because like I see Hawk across from me.
Yeah, I don't understand where any of that comes from.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're just a natural motivator. But
I appreciate
but
that.
Listen,
Well, bro, you motivate the streets,
Yeah.
bro. We appreciate you.
Lil Durk.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I'm the little.
no.
That's a crazy week for me to be
Wow.
Lil Durk.
Wow.
We're gonna move on.
Talk
We
some
Wow.
Ohio
won't talk
State.
about my Halloween costume last year either. But I want to get into Ohio State, like you said, Landon. You've been watching the film.
Did he?
I think we're gonna move on.
Wait, who were you for Halloween?
It was my
Wait.
first year dressing up for Halloween ever. I had never done it before.
Who were you?
So me and my girl, she's like, yo, let's be P. Diddy and Jennifer Lopez. I'm like, say that. I'm with that. I get a big white tee from Target. I'm wearing glasses. I'm
Baby oil?
Nah, man.
I'm sorry, I'm
man. No baby oil, man. But yeah, so I dressed up as P. Diddy. I'm gonna just let that out now before it comes out one day.
Yeah,
that was
nah.
a year. I didn't know what I
better
didn't
you
know.
get it off your
Who else
chest.
remembers that though?
Those pictures of that costume are in my hidden file on my phone. I'm hoping they never come back out. So I just want to be the one to say it now.
Nobody remembers.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, they're coming.
But let's talk about Ohio State, please.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's talk about it a little bit. Yeah, man. So, I mean, I think one of the, obviously, D'Von J-Thomas sitting next to us, defensive tackle, against Oregon. Ohio State's left tackle went down with what seems like a season-ending injury.
Yep.
Then their next left tackle steps up against, who were they playing this past week? Nebraska. He also gets injured.
Yep.
So now what they did at the end is they bumped out their left guard, Donovan Jackson, out to left tackle.
Yep.
So it is thought that that's kind of going to be
The rotation.
The rotation.
Yeah.
They're going to have a young guard in there. It is a makeshift offensive line that I think is already a little bit weaker than an Ohio State offensive line than we're kind of used to. So I think that's definitely something that the defense can take advantage of, man. But
A young guard versus 32-year-old D'Von J-Thomas.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, you know, and then when you have like 45-year-old vets still in college, like Aeneas Hawkins, who showed you the way when you were younger.
That's cap.
Guys, Smitty, you guys got
Yeah.
what do we have? Do we have 3 6-years on the defensive line?
You
And-
Smith,
yeah.
who's this?
And
Oh,
then
Keem.
And Keem, and
Yeah.
then what? 2 5-years in Fish.
Yeah, we have a
No,
very
it's
very
old.
veteran defensive line.
Means in a
and-
5th year.
Are they
Or no,
fifth
fourth
years?
year. Fourth
Yeah.
year.
No,
No, they're
fifth
fifth year
years
because they're 1 year behind you. Yeah,
They're
in
in your
front of you.
class.
Wow, 5th. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a
Gosh,
very
man, wow.
defensive veteran D-line, and
Yeah.
I think that's kind of shown in the play this year. You know what I mean? And let's really talk about the defensive line because I feel like we don't really get too much credit. I mean, last game they only rushed for what, 70 yards?
It was
Something
84
around there?
yards, but then the punter had a 15-yard rush. So y'all let up
You know
less
what I
than
mean?
70.
Like we let up less than
And they-
70 yards a game, and they pride themselves on their run game. You know what I mean? And I think that's just a credit to Coach Dion and like just the D-line continuing to be that force. You know, we heard a statistic earlier this week, and it was teams on average are getting rid of the ball in less than 2.2 seconds.
Yep.
You know how crazy that is?
That is crazy.
You know what I mean? And so, like, not enough people are really talking about it, but, like, they're making a difference. And shout out to our corners, too, because, you know, we're getting back there. We're causing pressure, and they're locking it down. They're taking QBs off of their first look, and I think that's going to be huge for us this week. You know what I mean? Just because Will Howard isn't necessarily too experienced in the offense of, you know, Coach Ryan Day. And I think it's going to be a unique situation for him because he hasn't seen a defensive line like us. You know what I mean? And he doesn't really have his passing percentage or his passing completion percentage isn't super high when he's moving outside the pocket.
Right, under some pressure for sure. Yeah, and you guys do deserve a shout out. I will say, Wisconsin, up to that point, I think they played 7 games. They rushed for over 100 in every single game. You guys were the first team to keep them under 100 rushing yards, so that was a potent rushing attack. And y'all handled them, man. Yeah. So, I mean, that was really impressive. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I will say this. Like, obviously, with the whole Bo and Drew situation, you had 2 quarterbacks that played really well. You don't know necessarily if you're Ohio State which quarterback you're going to see. So, guess what? You have to prepare for everything. Yeah. Because you have, you know, if you're Jim Knowles, Ohio State's defensive coordinator, you have to prepare for Bo, Drew, Tyler Warren, and everything in between at quarterback. Everybody. And so you got to prepare for all of this. In reality, you're only going to see all of this if you're Ohio State, but you still have to spend all that time preparing for all of this. And
so we just showed so many different looks too over the course.
What's that like? What's that like having to go against Koto Nicky's offense, man?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm grateful for the experience because now when we go into games, it's like, okay, I've seen this before, or it's not too complicated to pick up. You know what I mean? Right. And over these past 8 games, we've typically been a second half team, but I think that the way we respond in that second half is partly due to Coach K. You know what I mean? Just because, okay, we've seen this, and this. Now we can adjust. And then once we go back out there, it's not as effective or effective at all once we see it again. And, you know, that's just...
Yeah. No, I think that's something that needs to be talked about is the way, the leadership that Penn State has right now from the top down, from Coach Franklin down, it is shown on the field. You think West Virginia, you guys go into a 2.5-hour rain delay on the road in a cramped locker room. You come out, you don't miss a beat. You're down 10 points to Bowling Green at home. You work your way back and finish them off. You go out to USC. You have, Drew Aller probably steps up the most he ever has in his career. We saw him take a huge step forward in his 100%. Game, especially mentally against USC, and then now against Wisconsin. Yeah. Drew Aller goes out right before halftime. Bo Pabula steps up and had a fantastic day. So you can just tell me and it's not even just Bo. Like it was everybody stepped up, offense, defense. Like Jalen Reed, Hakeem Beamon got a ton of pressure on that play that Jalen Reed got the pick six. And Hakeem Beamon was, he took like 2 guys with him up the middle. Yeah. So, that's type of stuff that goes unrecognized, but that is the leadership from the top down right now on this Penn State team. And it feels like some of the best leadership we've had in a long time, and it shows on field.
It certainly does. And I think what we're going to do one day is look back. We obviously know about Tom Allen's background as a head coach. We know about Coach Franklin. But at some point, we're going to look and see that these 2 coordinators were really head coaches. We know what Tom Allen is, and Koto Nicky is going to absolutely have an opportunity to be a head football coach somewhere at some point soon. Hopefully not too soon because we're loving what we're seeing offensively. Mm-hmm. But again, the veteran leadership, not just from the players but from the coaches, is very clear in those situations where you go down heading into the second half a couple times now, and then to come out so explosive is really incredible to watch. And I want to ask, leading into Ohio State, I think there have been years in the past where I was on the team where there were times where it was like, hey, we're going to go in here, we're going to win this football game, but it wasn't necessarily the fact of the matter that we were the more talented football team or even that we were close to even. I know, D'Von, you're not really looking at it this way, but Landon, it seems like this Penn State football team has a legitimate opportunity to walk into Beaver Stadium on Saturday and cement themselves in the national conversation of the best team in the country. And Landon, when you look at how they match up comparatively, just from a talent perspective, where do you feel like Penn State is?
Yeah, like you said, for so long here, and you look, it happens off of the rankings when Ohio State consistently is top 3 in recruiting. And Penn State is around, we might get in the top 3, but we're around 7, 8, or 10, around in that area. And that's kind of how it works out. If you look at a team's recruiting standings from 2021 and look where they end up in 23 or 24, it's going to align. So obviously Ohio State is killing it. But I mean, now the transfer portal, NIL, all of it, it's evening everything out.
Yes, it is.
And, you know, guys are saying, hey, I got an opportunity to go start over here. I'm going to leave out. And I think that's why we've seen, in my opinion, there's been a lot of talk about college football's ruined, NIL, transfer portal. Is this not the most exciting season of college football in a long time?
Oh my goodness! I mean, he's making it so balanced.
Upsets over upsets, and you look at the standings of the SEC and the Big Ten.
Alabama and Vanderbilt, like that is a huge like game, you know, because that just speaks to the fact that college football is so balanced. Anybody could win it any week, and I mean, you saw the Texas versus Vanderbilt game this past weekend. You know, they only beat Vanderbilt by 3 points, I believe it was. Yeah. So that just goes to show, like with NIL, you know, everybody talks about, you know, it's going to be positive this, but mostly people just talk about the negatives that's going to come from it in terms of, you know, like attitudes, and people talk about how programs have gone down because of money, et cetera, but nobody's really talking about how balanced college football is now across the board.
It's fun to watch, and now it's like, okay, Maybe they're not going to get blown out.
You know
it's like
you
watch a lower level. It's like maybe this team's going to do something.
Right.
Games have just been closer, and it's been more fun to watch.
Well, now you got, you know, 5 stars at Georgia who are 3-4 deep. Now they're like, well, you know what? I can go to Virginia Tech, or I can go to you name it.
AJ Harris.
Yeah, AJ Harris is a prime example. You know what I mean? I can go to these places as a 4th string 5-star, and I could go there and make a difference.
No doubt.
And now you're seeing that over and over and over again. So
I completely agree.
It's
D'Von, I want to ask you, being this your 6th year, and for certain, pretty much the last time you're going to play against Ohio State, we know what that means, and you're doing it at home at Beaver Stadium. I know each game has importance, especially in this era of college football, and trying to make the playoffs and remain competitive, but this is Penn State, Ohio State. We all know what it is. In your 6th year, what are your emotions like at the beginning of the week as you head into Ohio State?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not super high, super low. You know what I mean? Just because it is a big week in the fact that it's the next one.
Yep.
As well as the fact that it is my last year playing Ohio State. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I respect them tremendously. I have yet to beat them in my college career. And so in that fact, it makes it like a huge game for me at least. You know what I mean? But in terms of my preparation, in terms of what I do on a day-to-day basis throughout the week, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm going to stay very consistent in what I'm doing. I mean, I'll adjust here and there weekly with little things, but for the most part, my process is going to stay the same. You know what I mean? I'm going to treat them like it's any other week, any other team. And this is just another moment in time where we get to show off who we are as a defense. I get to show off who I am as a player, whether that's getting 3-4 sacks in a game, or that's helping Abdul Zayn or Amin or Schmitty, or, you know, get 3, 4, 5 sacks in a game. Regardless, we're going to do what we need to do, and I'm going to do what I need to do on a day-to-day basis to just be 1-0 at the end of the week.
Yeah, I mean, that's that consistency of 1-0 and like just stacking the days. And I try to like I try to say this to the fans, like, I think they see the 1-0 stuff and get a little tired of it. And I'm like, trust me, like even as like a player a little bit, Von, you got a comment, it gets a little tiring, but like it creeps into you, and like you start to actually feel it. And it's like you'll be in the locker room, and let's say 2 weeks ago, someone brings up Ohio State, and the older guys are like, hey, like we're not doing that.
They'll
like,
check it.
The older guys will check it. So that is what I'm talking about when there is a strong leadership from the top down with Coach Franklin, all the leaders. I mean, making sure you're staying 1-0 and worried about that day being present.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps a very even keel, you know, like Kel Sanderson says, and he's one of the most winningest coaches in college wrestling, in wrestling in general. He's one of the most winning coaches. He says all the time not to inhale, you know what I mean? So, like, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, do not inhale. Don't take things and make it more than what it is. Yep. You know what I mean? Don't take a situation and make it bigger than what it actually is. And this is just one of those situations. And I think we've been applying that not only as a defense, not only as an offense, not only as like a special teams unit, but just as a team as a whole, from coaches down to equipment managers. Like we're all sitting even keeled, not inhaling, and just playing ball.
Yeah, that's what it's about, man. No, Ohio State, Penn State is going to be fun. First time, both teams are ranked inside the top 5.
Are we going to talk about the visitors, though? Like, we're going to have, like...
Dude, there's everything. Everything is happening.
Everybody's coming.
We got,
Everybody's
yeah,
coming out.
We got
We got Puff, Big Puff Hawk. He coming through. Big Land, he coming through. Big Trump, he coming through. I heard Kamala, she's coming through too. Elon, he might be coming through too. It's just
we got big Noon Fox.
It's Sexy Red. Pull him back up.
I mean,
everybody's coming.
Drake might as well pull up.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
I'll call him. I'll call him.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
I'll
get Rizzy here. Who's coming? Yeah.
But it's going to be an exciting weekend,
be
to
fun.
say the least.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to walk into Beaver Stadium. It's going to be a great game.
Yeah, it's good. No, it's first time since 1996 that has been a top 5 matchup between Penn State and Ohio State. So,
Wow.
Yeah, since well before all of us were born.
So I want to
be a good one.
All of us.
Oh wait, wait.
No, don't do that. 'Cause I'm a 2000.
All of us. We had to check. That's actually that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm a 2000 baby. All right.
Yeah, put that in the bloopers and make
2000. Don't do that. Don't do that. Landy, you're our guest today. You watch more film than me, for sure. Maybe not more than D'Von. Hopefully not more than D'Von, as he's an active player on our roster. But you're watching these games. I want you to tell me how you feel like this game is going to go and give us a final score prediction.
Oh, okay, that's good. I mean, it's going to be a tight game. It is Penn State, Ohio State. But as I mentioned, Ohio State has to prepare for a lot of factors. I think it definitely depends who goes out there. Is it Drew Aller? Is it Bo Prabula? What are we going to see? The one thing that I can guarantee is that Kotonicki's going to put whatever players at quarterback in a good position. So, I mean, I think there's a couple factors. I think, obviously, the defense getting after the quarterback, because we know what they have at wide receiver. They are always stacked with the next NFL superstar at wide receiver at Ohio State. So I think getting after the quarterback is going to be a big thing with a weak offensive line. Don't allow Will Howard to sit back there and have time to throw. So I think the guys up front are going to handle that. And then on the flip side, I think the biggest thing is, number one, getting the wide receivers going. And we saw Trey Wallace really start to get going. I mean, it's 6 receptions from that game from Bo and Drew. Looks like they both wanted to start targeting him. So obviously we know Tyler Warren's going to get involved, but also how can we get some other wide receivers involved? And then at the run game, man, get Nick Singleton and Kaytron Allen going. And I'll leave you with this fun fact. Penn State is 12-0 when Kaytron Allen has 80 or more rushing yards in his career.
Wow. So feed that fat man.
Feed fat man.
Come on.
Feed
fat man.
Gotta feed him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think I'm good here, D'Von.
Yeah, I mean,
You're the one that has to go do it. And this is what I would tell you. Don't go out there and do anything that I wouldn't do. Just in terms of being a pass rusher, man. Just remember what I taught you throughout years and years of our relationship, friendship.
I'll probably forget.
Appreciate you all.
Hey, appreciate you.
My guy, Landon,
love.
thank you for joining
My
us.
guy.
Special crossover episode. And if you're not tuned in to State Media and subscribe, make sure to do that now. We're going to continue to bring you the best Penn State coverage that's out there. Me and D'Von will be back with more current and former players to continue to bring you the best Penn State football coverage that you can find. Stay tuned next week for another episode.